All right, welcome back, Chelsea fans, to another YouTube exclusive. We are here, of course, to talk about Chelsea's players that are playing in South America and or on loan in France. In particular, we're going to talk about one of those coming up. So we'll talk about Andrey Santos and his brilliant start to the season and what he's doing with Strasbourg. We'll talk about Estevao and everything that is going on for him in Palmeiras, a little bit on Kendry and some off the field shenanigans there, and then wrap up on a player that we haven't had a chance to really dive into that much, and that's Aaron Anselmino. So we're just going to go through four players today. Nice little YouTube special here with Nath and Jess. Jess, how are you doing?
Doing great. I mean, last time we were here, we were like in the stuck a couple of centuries back without X. So now we're slowly getting up to date with the world because X is back in Brazil, so everything's fine there. I can't complain. It's great to be able to actually see the news as they come out.
And Nath, I mean, you guys are back on X, or I will still call it Twitter forever. But
Yeah.
um,
Yeah.
how are you doing? What's going on with you?
Yeah, I'm fine. Just catching up on the news. Yeah, it's still. I feel like we missed a lot, but people say we haven't missed a lot. But I still feel like we
Not
missed a
really.
lot. So yeah,
Yep.
I'm great and just catching up on everything.
All right. Well, Jess, I'm gonna pass the first one to you because of the extraordinary fandom and love that you have
Yeah.
for one Andre Santos. I mean, this has been to say this has been a successful loan at the start of this season is an understatement, right? This is
Hmm.
now a player who's picked up the League One Young Player of the Month award. He is leading League One in duels won at 48 already this season. Scored 3 goals already. You can go on and on and on. His manager said recently, Andre's a top professional. He's a true or top player. He's a true professional. He works every day to progress and improve on the pitch. He plays like a very experienced player, almost like a coach. So it's going okay, huh?
Yeah. I mean, again, with him, it's just so subjective to me. I try to be objective. But for me, I've said this time and time again. I think he was the one player when it comes to like the young South American players that we were buying that he was ready to contribute the minute that we bought him. And I'm not saying that he was ready to be in the Premier League starting every game. It's not that. But he always had the physicality for it, and he always had the mentality for it. He has been like captain throughout his youth days, even in Brazil, just because it's what he does. It's the mentality. He's still the calmness that he brings to the side, even when if you're talking about young players like in the academy, he was always the one that seemed old, almost like very very mature beyond his years. So to be perfectly honest with you, his progression has been incredible. But if you are someone that followed him from the very beginning, this is what you expect from him. He doesn't shy away from responsibility. He likes to be in control. He likes to talk, to get involved. He loves to know the club that he's playing for. So he is someone that loves to really understand the culture, the language, what the club stands for, and it's someone that the fans usually love because not only he fights for the badge, he has that passion, but the technicality that he brings with him, it's just awesome to see. And you mentioned like a stat from him that was incredible. It was before the game from PSG. He was the leading player when it comes to duels. He had 48, but just throughout the first half of the game for PSG, he added 9 duels that he won just in that half. So it's just insane. Like the honestly, when you think about the level that he can reach, I wasn't that hopeful that we would see him back at Chelsea. I think I mentioned that before, not because of what he can do, but just because of the madness in the transfer business that Chelsea were, doing. And I just know that a lot of clubs are going to offer money for him. But then he has this incredible year on loan and he's catching the eye of everybody. And it would just be so stupid to even consider not integrating him. And especially if you're thinking about competing in Europe and having multiple competitions as we are seeing this season. And it's just, he brings so much quality. And there's just so much that he can do. And if you think about what Chelsea is dealing with in certain games, having the type of player that he is, because he is the box to box, old school, with the physicality, kind of like Bison type of way, but he can also play like seating deep and adding that bulkness of defense. And what he can do for us even now, what he could be doing for us even now. I'm just excited, and I'm getting hopeful again that maybe we will see him. And I would love to have him.
She's coming
Yeah.
around. She's coming
Yeah,
around to
I'm
old Nick's
cracking.
point of view.
No,
Uh-oh.
I mean, it's terrible because I don't want to get my heart broken. But yeah, he's just a fantastic player. It's been incredible to see him develop, and I'm sure that he's going to continue to grow because he is that type of player that strives to get better and better. So yeah,
Well, I
very
mean,
very happy with him.
Nath, I'm, I think we've talked about him in various different key areas, right? Whether it's, his ability to pass or his ability to carry the ball or it's his ability to set other players up for success. I think what I've been paying most attention to about this loan for him is his tackles, interceptions, those sorts of key defensive metrics, right? Because he's obviously playing in a team that isn't going to be the best team in every match they play. He's going to be on a little bit more of the back foot than the front foot in some of these cases, especially against a team like PSG. Tackles 3.41 per game in the 95th percentile. He's winning, 1.3 aerials a game at 74th percentile. Want to see those interceptions and blocks kind of pick up a little bit, but given his offensive skill set, are you equally impressed by what he's showing defensively?
Yeah, of course. I was watching the game last night, PSG Strasbourg. I'm gonna be honest, it's been like the first game I've watched all season. Strasbourg, obviously, but I was impressed. I wasn't expecting Andrei to have made that leap already. He's becoming an all-around player, as Jess said. He's the old school box to box. I feel like he would be operating in a similar way as we've seen Lavia operate against Liverpool. And yeah, I'm super excited. I know the level is going to be different from League On to the Premier League, but still, I feel like he's ready to contribute. As we've said before, I felt like it was a mistake that he went out on loan, but I feel like he's been getting minutes that he wouldn't be getting at Chelsea, and that's the most important at this part because he's making a statement. He's been given the opportunity to make a statement, and he's making a statement again because when he went out on loan last season, he did well as well. So yeah, I feel like he's gonna become a name that's non-negotiable in any sense from next season on, or maybe even January. I guess I said it last time or in a past episode that I wouldn't make it. Yeah, I feel like it's weird if Chelsea recalled him in January, especially because I don't see Cassidy and Chukwuemeka staying, although I love them. But I just feel like they are probably going out on loan or maybe in permanent deals in January. So I don't know. Maybe we'll be seeing Andre sooner rather than later.
Yeah, I'm still of that persuasion because I think you're looking at Caicedo as just having to do so much in the team, and I worry about him obviously because without him, our midfield is nowhere. Lavia is only a one match a week sort of player right now, just given his fitness and where he's coming back from the injury. So I still think there's a huge chance that Santos comes back in January, and if not, then definitely next year. I mean, he's more than ready. You look at his offensive outputs as well. He's obviously 3 goals is great, but he's in the 98th percentile for non-penalty goals. He's in the 83rd percentile for shots total, and that's from a deeper lying role, which is super impressive. In the 88th percentile for non-penalty XG and non-penalty assists per game. And, he's also last 5 games, Jess, you're looking at 2 shot creating actions, 2, 1, 1, 3. Like he's helping the team in almost every single way that you can. It's whether they convert those passes or those opportunities into goal is a whole other question. But is there anything that you're seeing right now, despite how impressive it's been to start the year, that you're like, he still needs to work on this one thing, and that thing is
Oh, again, so subjective when it comes to him. Just because, I mean, obviously, can he? Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
putting
It's
you on the
it's
spot. I'm doing it because
yeah.
I want you to think
You are
outside of the
because no.
box.
Yeah, I'm try. I'll try. I'll try to think outside the box. Um, Let me see. I'll do a chess answer, which is a non-answer because I love him so much, but I will answer if you read between the lines, which is okay. So if you watch let's talk about the last game against PSG because I think it kind of encapsulates things a little bit better. If you look at the first 15 minutes and the other side had the ball a lot, you will see sometimes he would try to occupy more space than he would be able to defend for himself. For instance, he would get annoyed that someone that was supposed to be marking his man were not marking his man, and he would rush to it, and then he would leave his space behind. So just a little bit of trying to deal with everything on his own, and sometimes that kind of shifted a little bit the dynamics of the midfield. I will say though that Strasbourg was not play. They were not playing with their starting midfield because they had a couple of players suspended. So maybe that took a toll in the way that they set up. But I think in the first 15 minutes you saw him making a few mistakes, and then PSG scored, and it was not doubting him. But after that, it was like he was on his A game. Even though they lost in a big manner, he was fantastic after those the initial 50 minutes. So I think there is still. I mean, I try to say he's always very mature, and he is for his age, the way that he reads the game and all of that. But he is still an immature player. He's still a very young player, so he's going to make mistakes in terms of rashness and stuff like that. And I think you mentioned interceptions as being something that he needs to work on. And I would agree if you're talking about thinking about a Premier League and stuff like that. I would agree that this is something that he can work on, and he can get better, and I think he will get better. If you look at his duels, we were talking about the duels, and if you compare with last season to this season, it's completely different in terms of like the amount of work. I agree with Nat in the terms of I think it was a mistake, that's quote unquote mistake, for him to go on loan just because of I think of how much stronger we would be as a squad if we had him available, and the ability to rotate certain players. You mentioned Moises Caicedo is obviously a big one. So in that sense, I agree. But trying to look at the positive side is the shift that happened in Strasbourg in terms of the managerial appointment and also the quality of players that they added. I think they're trying to play in a similar manner as Chelsea are trying to play under Maresca, and that's incredible because I also think that had a huge impact in his growth and the way that he and the new manager were able to work together. I think that actually helped with his development. And in theory, it should be a lot easier for him to transition back to Chelsea if that were, what we were meant to be doing. So I think that's a huge, huge positive. But again, being subjective, it's just a joy to watch. Such a young age, the calmness, the balance.
I'm trying to get you.
No, you
I'm
try.
trying to
Yeah,
get you,
it's
but you're
not.
just not
No,
going there.
I'm not going to. I'm not. Because I'm not going there. It's just because of the balance, and that's what he
Okay.
offers. He is someone that's consistent. You're never going to see him have a horrible game. He's the type of player that he's going to deliver at least those the basics. So I think that's something to be excited about. But yes, obviously there are a few things in his games that he can, and I think he will work on to get better.
All right. At the risk of this becoming just the Andrey Santos special, let's quickly move on to Estevao, who again has continued. I think is a pretty rich vein of form. Maybe a little bit of a fall off toward the end of the season, but 10 goals, 7 assists in all comps this season. Did a quick interview with the Guardian. He said, "I decided to join Chelsea because of their planning. I was very pleased with that, not just for me, but for my family. It was a club that believed in me and trusted my work. I hope I can pay that back." He also has done a couple of little DMs with Cole Palmer. He said, "We talked on social media. I tagged him on Instagram. He called me a star. I said he's a star too." He said, "We're going to do a lot of great things together for Chelsea." So, Nat, have you already penciled him into the starting 11 next season? What's going on?
Not the starting 11, just because we got Cole Palmer and Madueke at the moment is like unreplaceable. But yeah, I'm excited to see Estevão because he was out for a little while injured. I feel like he didn't get call up just because of that as well. It wasn't like, oh, such a biggie, just because he was injured, I feel like he didn't get called up. But yeah, I just want to see him getting back to his feet because I feel like this is gonna be key part in his development. Sorry, just because it's the first time he gets injured. It wasn't that serious, but he was still out for a few weeks. So I guess it was the longest he was out for. He hasn't got back to scoring and assisting yet after he got back, but I feel like he's on the path to it. He's still very, very, very important to this Palmeiras side offensive phase. So yeah, I'm really excited to see just because that this mentality of his is special in some ways. We're gonna talk about Candy in a little bit. That's something different. And I feel like I gotta give props to Abel Ferreira here because he did it so well with Hendrik, and now he's doing it super well with Estevao. So yeah, we got basically a full year to see him. No, much less than a year. We are pretty much in November, but yeah, still a long time. That's still a long time for a 17-year-old. So we'll see.